So my grandfather on my mother's side is actually very involved at the district and council level. So he kind of encouraged my family to get involved in scouting since that was kind of a big part of his life. So we decided to give it a try when I was, real young, and my parents got really involved, and we realized this was a great program for us and for everyone that we came into contact with. And really, as I got older in the Cub Scout program, we grew our pack from, basically no one to there were 80 scouts in the pack at the peak of its time. And then we went into the troop, and I had a lot of friends that stuck with scouts throughout my scouting career, and that just made all the difference. So I guess my family really encouraged me, and then what kept me going was both my parents being involved and the friends that I'd made along the way. My dad would always be there with me, doing stuff with me. I would never have, bonded in the same way or gone and done this amazing experiences that we had with my father if I was not for scouting. We got to do, we got to canoe together, hike together, we learned to scuba dive together. We did all these amazing experiences through scouting that I think no other program could have replicated. And when it comes to as a family as a whole, I think even people that aren't directly going on the trips can still bond and learn together through the scouting experience. I know my mom was just very involved in, here, this is what you need to take and this is how you can be safe. And then my dad would counter with, maybe you don't need all these things to take along on these trips. And I think just through doing all the different things we did together in scouting that we grew a lot closer, just in general. So besides just the things that we do in normal scouting, I think it's very important for scouts to get out and do high adventure or outdoor activities, because that's where you see the true improvement. And I think for myself, when I look at how I was when I was 12, 13 before I went to Colorado, and now it's night and day, and I can attribute a lot of that to my scouting experience. One of my favorite activities or adventures I had in scouting was, when I was 13, we did my first high adventure program. Now normally you have to be 14 in order to do high adventure, but there was this camp in Colorado that allowed 13-year-olds to go and do a backpacking adventure in the Rocky Mountains. So basically I got all packed up, and my pack, I was about 5'7", 130 at the time or whatever, and my pack was 60 pounds. So we got going, and that ended up being just an insane amount of weight. I was not ready to be on a trail at that time, but I really enjoyed it looking back. But the thing that really sticks out was about 3 days into our adventure, we got to a big overlook kind of area. We stopped and had lunch, and you could see off to the side this it was a 12,500 foot, I think, was the mountain size. And we hiked back down into the valley and set up camp, and our guide invited us to the troop to go up for a hike up the mountain, and I decided I'd tag along, even though we had already had a 6 mile day and I was exhausted. But we decided to go along, and I guess at the beginning it was pretty easy. There was flowers, and kind of slowly ascended the mountain. But about halfway up, then it started to get real rocky and real treacherous. When you went to step on the rocks, they were super loose and started to fall down the mountain. So I'm not a big fan of the heights in general. So when I went up, I guess I was just terrified, and I guess it kind of kept getting steeper and steeper, and we reached this point where everyone was on their hands and knees, trying to crawl up this mountain. And I just remember thinking, I might not be coming home from this. This is terrifying. But as I pushed through that, I think I grew a lot through that experience, and we reached the top. And just looking down and seeing everything that you can see there was a beautiful lake and these trees and other mountains off in the distance, and just seeing all that you have accomplished at that 13, 14-year-old age is just so key. And I think that made such a huge impact in my life, being able to have such a adventurous experience. We didn't see any other troops for 5 days. We went out in the backcountry, and it was just our 9 guys and a troop guide, and we didn't see anyone the whole time. So just being out in the wilderness, being out in nature, and growing with, with your scouting friends, that was kind of the start of my high adventure career, and that made a big difference in my life. The stuff in scouting that meant the most to me was all the outdoor activities, and to earn the highest award associated with that was pretty special. So the National Medal of Outdoor Achievement is kind of the highest award you can earn in reference to high adventure and being outdoors. It requires you to do a bunch of different activities and hours in different facets of high adventure and outdoor activities in order to earn it, including a lot of camping. So I guess within just earning the merit badges and earning the Eagle rank and like the physical, I'm going to have a patch or whatever to show off, that is kind of a minimal, that's going to be a thing while I'm in Scouts to show other people that this is what you can do in scouting. But 10 years from now, I'm not going to be pulling out my Scout shirt and saying, oh, look at all these merit badges I got. But I think I got to do 137 merit badges, and I did 137 different kinds of, disciplines, activities, careers. I got to look into all these different facets of, what makes different people's lives unique. And not every single one was a super joy that I was like super into, but by doing all these different ones, I got to experience so many different things. And so if I meet someone who's a welder now, I can, relate to, oh, this is what you're actually doing because I got to do that. Or if I meet someone who's scuba certified, I can, relate to them there. Or labor unions. I took a whole merit badge on labor unions, and I can know more about that. Or any of there's so many different, there's, feeder, whitewater, all these different things that are just so specific. But then if you can relate to people in such a specific way that at least I've dipped my toe into all these different pools of different activities. So my Eagle Scout project was designing a life-sized eagle nest exhibit for our local, it's kind of a county park kind of area, and it's kind of a special thing we have at our county park where we have 2 bald eagles that were hit by cars that now are just unable to fly or care for themselves. So they're in an exhibit there to kind of teach people about dangers of lead poisoning and how to watch out for the eagles. But then there wasn't any kind of like educational interactive exhibit there, and I had gone up. There's in north of us, there's a National Eagle Museum, which isn't Eagle Scout Museum, but the Bird Eagle Museum, which has lots of different kinds of eagles you can go and look at, and it has these different exhibits to teach you about the eagles. And they had a kind of a thing that was a life-sized, this is how big an eagle's nest is, and I was just amazed because it's 6 feet in diameter is how big an eagle's nest is, and it's like in real life they're like 15, 20 feet tall, and then that's 6 feet diameter, so they're massive. And I thought that would be a really cool thing to put next to our eagle exhibit down there. So I decided that was going to be my eagle project, and so what it looks like now is I brought in this lady in the town next to us had a big tree she wanted to cut down. So we took the bottom section of that, which is 10 feet tall, something like that, and we took that section and moved it, I think it's 7 or 8 miles down the road to Nishna Bend, and that ended up being, I think it was 8 or 10 tons of wood. It was really a lot of wood, but then kind of constructed a octagonal deck on top of it. So there's stairs up to the top of it, and then this deck around the outside. So once we built the deck, then we took sticks from all these places around town and around the area and wrapped them around the outside to create this illusion that there's this nest here. But when you get up in there, it's like safe and it's an actual deck. But from the outside, you see the trunk, and then you see the nest on there, and you're like, that's a massive nest. So you get inside and you can sit down and spread your arms apart, and that's how big the nest is. So I kind of wanted to teach people about that.